Some major leaks for the new Archer commanders have just come out, and I'm making a video about it. So if you are interested, you have to stick around. I'm going to go over all their skills. I'm going to give you my predictions for how much damage they will deal because the leaks do not have numbers. And I'm also going to give you some commanders I think will synergize really well with the new commanders. I just want to say before we get into it, most of my predictions were almost spot on. So if you are interested in seeing more Archer predictions before we even get leaks, you have to subscribe. Because trust me, I'm going to be trying to get the best predictions and the most informed predictions that I can. Alright, so these new leaks are not official from Lilith, so we have to take them with a pinch of salt. We don't know if the commanders will do this. They may change. Lilith may just go, okay, we don't like this about this commander, and completely rework it. Now, I do doubt this. I think they're just in the final stage of discovering the numbers. And since these leaks came out, last time when they did, like for BOUDICA Prime, she released in the next patch. So it is possible we may see the new Archer commanders in the coming patch. And I'm certainly ready to spin their wheel and try and max them. I mean, I won't be able to max them, but I'll at least get them to a very usable spot. Now, we'll just quickly go over the leak. First, we have the leak for Zhuge Laing. He is going to be the field commander, and quick heads up, he's basically a better YSG. So just his active skill, he deals about 2,000 damage factor, I presume, because we don't have numbers, once to 5 enemies in a circle AoE. So he basically stole YSG's active skill, and I presume it's either going to be the same damage factor or even more, which would be insane. You still take the 15% less damage for each additional unit. That's still part of the game, and I think that has to stay. And he also reduces all damage dealt by the units by some amount for some amount of seconds. I presume this will be about 20 to 30% possibly. So all damage reduction of 20 to 30%. And then that will last probably 3 to 5 seconds. Most likely 3, because most of the new very powerful debuffs are 3 seconds. So then we've got the first car battle. I presume these skills are translated wrong. Increase the life of archer units you lead by, I presume, 20 to 30%. And increase archer damage by some amount, probably 10 to 20%. So health is really, really good. We know that. He is one of the few commanders, like archer commanders, who does have health. And then increasing his archer damage. This could mean attack, which I don't think it does. Or it could mean actual archer damage, which isn't all damage, it's just attack and counter-attack. So normal attacking and counter-attacking. When he receives a control effect, and we know control effects are slow, silence, and disarm, and he's outdoors, so he's on the map, he has some amount of chance to become immune to the effect. I presume this will be 50 to 80%. I don't think it will be guaranteed. Definitely tough to decide which percent will be here. If it's 50, then there will be a few pairs which I think would go very well with him. Each time you become immune to a control effect, deal some amount of damage, probably I think 1,500 damage factor to the one that casts that effect. So the person that put the control effect on you, you basically get to screw them up. This actually does mean there'll be a few things with Artemisia that may become a little bit difficult, and I'm going to discuss that. Alright, and this effect can trigger up to 1 time every, I presume, 5 to 10 seconds. We don't know how high the damage factor is. If it's lower to about like 1,000, 1,200, it will be about 5 seconds. If it's like 2,000, it's definitely going to be like once every 10 seconds. If the troops led are all archers, you deal increased skill damage just straight up. That's really, 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 really good. Having increased skill damage is very powerful. We know with YSG, it made him very powerful. And we're looking at a commander that's already got way more utility than YSG. So I think that this is already a great start. And each basic attack has a chance to increase the attack power of archery units led by some percent for the next amount of seconds. I presume it's a 10% chance, and that the attack power will be 30 to 40% since this is the attack stat and it's not that powerful. But what I've seen here is basically they've got YSG's 4th skill and YSG's 3rd skill and they merged them. I presume it will be for the next 3 to 5 seconds again. This can trigger probably once every 5 to 10 seconds. When casting an active skill, if the unit in command does not have the afternoon, I'm going to call it the afternoon effect because translation's weird here, he immediately acquires said effect, increasing his all damage by probably about 10 to 20% for 3 to 5 seconds. If led by all archers and they have the afternoon effect, when using an active skill, the afternoon effect is consumed, dealing some amount of damage to up to 3 enemies in a circular range. This damage does not increase with increased skill damage effect. Now, I don't know if this means only his increased skill damage effect and not YSG's, but it probably means all around because he would be dealing way too much skill damage at that point. It's Still, this is a massive skill. Having that afternoon effect is going to make you very powerful, and I presume it may last probably 5 seconds, maybe even 8 seconds, so you can get to another skill cycle. Upon entering combat, the commander's units instantly gain the, I'm assuming, afternoon effect again, increasing your all damage by some percent, and this will last for probably 5 to 8 seconds, I presume. And each time you deal skill damage with Shinya's fire, I presume that's his active skill and it translated weird, and his third skill, I presume, you instantly gain 4 rage. I think it's supposed to be probably 40. I don't know why it says 4 rage. It didn't say that on the other one. There's 2 leaks. I presume that this was either a typo for the person that changed it onto like a more presentable format, or you gain 4 rage, but it's not going to really affect much. So overall, I think this commander looks very powerful, but we still have to get through the Garrison commander. Alright, here's the Garrison commander. I couldn't figure out her actual name because translation was still very weird, but she looks like she's going to be a fairly powerful bloody Garrison. So first, she inflicts some amount of damage factor to a target once, so 1 target. This damage is, I presume, probably 2,300, maybe 2,500. And then if the target unit is a rally unit, reduces skill damage of up to 5 enemies in a circular area by, I presume, 30 to 35%. So that's some really good swarm immunity if they're a rally unit. And if you're swarming with her and swarming a rally, that could also be really, really good, because it doesn't specify she has to be in a garrison for this to actually take effect. Next, she increases defense of archer units you lead by, I presume, 30 to maybe possibly 40%, maybe 20%, because she has a lot of other stats here. She increases your all damage you deal to infantry. Not all damage, your archer damage. That means normal attack and counter attack. And if all troops are archers, damage taken from normal effects is reduced by probably 20 to 30%, which would be insane. Next, this is her garrison skill, I presume. Increase the attack power of archer units. So that's just probably 30%. That is probably going to work on the field. And then this is the garrison part. When stationed in a city or a flag or a garrison, whatever, the commander's unit's normal attacks have a percent chance to prevent the target from gaining a buff effect while under the pincer attack for the next probably 3 to 5 seconds. This can activate up to 1 time every probably 3 to 5 seconds. So I presume this is like AMANITORE's effect wipe, where she just gets rid of effects. That could be powerful for like a Henry rally, or if there's going to be a rally that's going to have powerful effects, she may be able to counter that quite well. When garrisoned in a base or a city, the health of archer units is increased. I don't know why it says led by him, this is definitely a she, but is increased by about, I presume, 30 to 40% possibly. And when receiving skill damage, the damage is reduced by probably 20 to 30%, these seem like major stats, I'm just guessing. I might be very far off with some of them, I'm not sure. I haven't seen some of these stats really on archer commanders before, so we never know. And then increase the attack power of archer units led by some amount when garrisoning a base or a city. Oh no, so you're just going to get more attack. Or is this, I think this might just be an improvement of her third skill. No, this is a new skill. Increasing the attack power of archer units led by some amount, so probably another 10-20% here. And when garrisoning in a base or your own city, there's a chance that commanding units' normal attack will reduce the target's defense by some amount. So I presume 10% chance to reduce defense by up to 20-30%. Maybe it'll be more than Nevsky's, but I doubt it at that point. She's going to already be probably a stat machine for garrisons. So making her a Nevsky defense debuff would be a bit crazy. For the next some amount of seconds, so probably 3 to 5 seconds. And the target will not be able to enjoy a buff effect while under the pincer attack. I'm not sure what this means again. I'm presuming it's just going to wipe off a buff. And I'm not sure what the pincer attack is, because all these skills seem to have translated pretty okay to English, so we will have to know what pincer attack is on the day of release. This effect can trigger up to 1 time every some amount of seconds. So she seemed a little bit less complicated than the first commander. Does not seem to be as field effective, so guess good news or bad news for people. If you did want to go for her for the field and for garrison, you may have to reconsider. She doesn't seem like she'll be bad in the field, but she doesn't seem like she'll be amazing. I'm thinking that I'll probably max the first new commander and then go back and do my Henry at this point, because I don't think I need this commander for the open field. I'll definitely still get the unlock though, so that's something for you to consider your priorities. Now for the main commander, Zhuge Laing, I think there are a few commanders that will really stand out. First we have BOUDICA Prime, obviously for the main reason of she is very tanky, and she's got some march speed, which Zhuge Laing has no march speed. We just saw that before. Now the one thing with BOUDICA that's very fortunate, is her expertise. This 80% chance to dispel control effects will actually trigger Zhuge Laing's third skill or second skill, I forget which one it is, that allows you to deal damage to whoever's putting a control effect on you. So that's really powerful. People have been saying he'll work well with Artemisia. I think he'll work well because he can shrug the control effect. But the person who deals that control effect is the one that takes damage. So I presume that obviously he won't be damaging himself. So what will happen is you won't be able to actually fully benefit from that skill because you will probably only be shrugging off the control effect and not dealing damage factor because of that control effect. One commander that could work is Cyrus, depending on how his expertise works. It said whenever he deals skill damage with one of his 2 skills, if that is a translation error, Cyrus deals a ton of random chance skill damage. So you'd be gaining a lot of rage there, and Cyrus has some pretty good march speed and some attack, which Zhuge Laing didn't seem to have much attack. And then obviously, I think that Zhuge Laing will work great with YSG because YSG with any very high AoE commander does a lot more damage just because of his extra 50% skill damage. The only thing is, I think that Zhuge Laing needs march speed and YSG doesn't bring that. Also, Zhuge Laing does need rage, so having a rage engine is pretty good. And then we've got Henry V as well. I think Henry will work pretty good with Zhuge Laing purely because Henry has a lot of skill damage and he's very tanky. Henry's also very fast, you can see on his second skill, especially off territory. So I'm thinking I might use Zhuge Laing with Henry, put my Boudica with my Cyrus and my YSG with my Nebu. That will probably become my 3 March murder ball for now. And we'll just have to see what happens with my Gilgamesh. And after I max Henry, we'll see where that goes. Overall though, I think that this field commander is going to be extremely powerful and I think they're going to have a major impact on the field. They are going to probably be a 1.5 times better YSG is my guess. I reckon they'll have more skill damage, they're going to have debuffs, and they need march speed. So having them with a march speed commander would be very good, or a tanky commander, so Henry's my bet. And I'm not sure if he has to be primary. Reading his skills, it does look like he may need to be the primary, just to be able to benefit from his afternoon effect, or whatever it's going to be called, because he wants to throw the active skill while it's still active. So you possibly want to use him as a primary, which is slightly unfortunate because I think he will be targeted a lot. But having a tanky commander like Henry to back him is definitely pretty good. Now, the Garrison commander, I think, simply since there's only 3 Archer Garrisons currently, won't really be working with YSG, since YSG is no longer a Garrison meta at all, not even close. And, I mean, Artemisia, you could think maybe she could be a Garrison, but really, Artemisia's Garrison abilities are very lackluster. They're not very powerful. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not the best. So, Artemisia, I don't think will become the Garrison meta. I think that AMANITORE with the new commander will definitely be a Garrison meta. AMANITORE has a lot of things in her kit that are very powerful. She just didn't have a good secondary commander. So her plus the new commander, who I still don't know the name of, definitely will be a very, very powerful combo. And I think that it will possibly be counting Tariq rallies, because I think that Tariq has some buffs he gains. Don't quote me, I'm not 100% sure. So that's very powerful, and I do think this will be a very good Garrison. On the field worthiness for this new commander, they don't have AoE, but then again, we got commanders like Henry who don't have AoE who are good in the field. And I mean, she may possibly go well with some of these commanders. Maybe as a debuff march, she could go with Cyrus. I'm not very sure there. She will definitely be good for swarming rallies though, that's 100%. Because she's going to be debuffing a lot of people when she's swarming that rally and debuffing the rally. So I think that's going to be very, very good. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you think that you may have got some value out of this, or maybe I guess, helped your curiosity of what these new commanders will be doing, please do consider dropping a like and a subscription, because I do this content as often as I can, and I try to push out the best videos I can for everyone. There'll be another video that should come out tonight, as long as no big news comes, so be prepared for that video. It's going to be a guide for everyone about building. I'm sorry it didn't release yesterday like I said it would, but I mean, when things like this come out, I really do have to make videos about them as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.